All right, we're coming to you live with the final round of play in the pool.
Should be a good one.
Play. We have wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube men versus Royal Knights.
If there's anybody watching, I'd ask them to give you an applause for such an amazing intro.
Yes, that's so amazing.
And then what's the other one? Versus
Royal Knights.
Royal Knights of the
just Royal Knights. That's all I was told. I think it is of something, but they're gonna be. I'm just gonna call them Royal Knights.
I'm assuming it's of the Republic.
Yes,
that's my guess. Because if you look at the game name, wacky wavy wacky. See, like I can't even do it. That's why you deserve the applause in the first place.
So yeah.
I do see Catholics and bro joining us.
A couple people filtering in.
Nice Steelers glass. You're welcome. It's not as good as Peapot, but it'll do.
Peapot's grounded.
Nor is it product placement. Is it like
go not Pittsburgh? Sorry.
Yeah, he's a Browns fan.
But I do like the Pens, even after their shitty performance. So.
I don't think you're allowed to do that. All right, but let's first talk about our bands here.
Maybe.
Yeah, the Billions, we have a Blitzcrank ban. I think that's a common ban. I don't think it's a target for anybody. Cho'Gath, I definitely think is a pointed ban towards Noobs. Actually, Noobs is, see, he's really good. He got a lot of Cho'Gath games. I think it's his main. Thresh and Anivia. Do you know if those are respect bans or not?
I believe that Anivia is. I think Cowman, D-Cowman, played a good Anivia earlier on in the tournament. And Anivia's been carrying a lot of these games anyways, so it's just a solid band.
And then Ari as well. It seems to be a good ban, but it's probably a targeted ban.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one, but I would have to agree. It's kind of... She used to be a ban or play every game.
Yep,
and
I agree with that.
Not so much lately since Season 3.
Well, we also see an Amumu left open, which I always think is a really bad idea. He gives so much crowd control. His grab is really long. The Curse of the Sad Mummy was nerfed, but it's still just a ridiculously good ability. On the other side, we see an AoE kind of comp from I think it's wacky. We're just kind of a little wacky waving because we see
which team is which, to be honest.
Vladimir Sona and the Varus all have AoE or bindings alts.
Yeah, I like the MF pick with the Mumu, however, though, because of the double ult, the lockdown, and spray and pray the whole team. Lulu's a solid choice. You get a knock up from her ult. A little bit of shielding, so
the Lulu choice makes a lot more sense now that you see Ryze go down as well. She will be able to make one of those champions, even though they are very strong and definitely scale well, be that much stronger and scale that much more well. Whatever. Regardless, we're seeing a Sejuani pick as the last one being shown here. I think that would be very interesting if you look at all of their champs thus far. We see Lux definitely get locked down.
Yeah, a little bit of crowd control coming out at the end there. Really good with the Sona ult. Sejuani's been really great ever since her remake. So, lots of mobility. So, pretty decent counter to Amumu because she can get around the jungle pretty well. Maybe counter jungle Amumu a little bit. So.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at both of these teams, though, they both have a decent amount of CC, but Blue Team has a ton of CC. Almost everyone except Vladimir, and he does have a slow, has some form of AoE crowd control, and he does AoE damage to boot. So you have Lux that has, just a lot of it with her Q and her E coming down. You have Sejuani, her ult definitely locks people in place. Varus ult definitely locks people in place, and then the Sona ult is Crescendo locks people in place as well. So it's a lot of CC, but do you think they'll have the damage?
I don't know, but I want to point out the purple team, which I believe is the Royal Knights. They also have a pretty decent amount of crowd control. It's not quite as good, I would say. MF has exactly, well, she's are slow, so but really no crowd control out of MF. But we have a stun out of Ryze and Swain, and I'm guessing Swain top, especially with the teleport. Um, and Lulu, while not really crowd control-y, she does have a lot of utility. And so yeah, Mumu's obviously his ult. So we do see a lot of crowd control out of both teams.
We do.
But just based on the team comp, I feel that I don't even know. I was gonna say blue team is a little tankier, but that's tough to say because both Ryze and Swain get pretty tanky. So
Definitely a Mumu, and then Lulu can also make anybody that much more tanky, that much more influential in team fights. But at the same rate, blue team might not need to be as tanky because the your purple team will be standing still for most of their fights. If
yeah, purple team is also primarily AP. If you notice that with the an AP top and AP jungle, Sejuani I believe is a hybrid of sorts. I'm not 100% sure.
I am not sure about Sejuani personally, but the one thing I am certain of is blue team will not win if they stack their ults on top of one another, as opposed to, well, I mean, obviously Vladimir needs to ult whenever he can get the most people in his Hemoplague, but if Sejuani ults while the Varus ult and Sona ult go down, they're essentially only going to have one ult. They're just going to waste all three of them. But if they chain them together, there will be a pretty big advantage for blue team, just simply because if Varus ult goes down to 2 or 3 people, and then as soon as that's over, they get ulted by the Sona, and as soon as that's over, they get ulted by Sejuani, they will be in place for quite some time, especially with the initiation that Lux will give you, and she makes it very difficult to chase down with her translucent lucidity or something like that. Regardless, I think blue team definitely has the edge in team comp, but then purple team I think scales a little bit better in the late game.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think purple team's going to be putting out a little bit more damage, but we're gonna have to see. I mean, Lux can do a lot of damage, especially in the mid. So it's only time shall tell. Sejuani is primarily AP. I know she does a little bit with her auto attacks. So I think she gets like a Sheen and a Glacial, or a Gauntlet, the Frozen Gauntlet. But yeah, that was my mistake. I believe she is pretty much primarily AP. So it's going to be interesting to see. Basically, I think it's going to come down to which team engages more effectively. I would agree that I think blue has the edge, but a Mumu in the jungle is really scary. But so is Sejuani. So I mean, it's just we're gonna have to see how each team chooses to engage. How tanky
Absolutely.
Ryze and Swain get. If Ryze and Swain do not get at least Bruiser tanky, then I think that purple team's in for a lot of trouble.
Agree. And do we know the positioning of these two teams, of where they're at as far as wins and losses, or whether or not they're on the verge of moving on, or no?
Yeah, if you give me 1 second, I have it right here. This is I think this match actually determines who gets to move on in the tournament. Both teams are 1-1 right now. Black Star is out, being 0-3. Team 11 is 3-0. So yeah, the winner of this game gets to move on into the tournament. So it's gonna be interesting. It should be a pretty exciting game because everybody wants to make it into the tournament, yo.
And then we also had to look at the skin battle, the most important battle of the night. It does look like purple team is ahead. They have one more skin than their blue counterpart. Uncle Rise, Bilgewater, Swain, Mafia, Misfortune, Little Knight of Mumu. So those are some pretty cool ones as well. And then you have Arclight Virus and Dark Rider Sejuani. So definitely some cool skins. I like Little Knight of Mumu.
Yeah, it looks pretty sweet.
Bilgewater, Swain is actually pretty sweet as well. So we shall see. Though I don't think I've ever seen Dark Rider Sejuani in a game.
I have not either, so I don't know. I like the cover art, I guess, of Little Knight of Mumu. Just crying through his visor. He's sad. The damsel in distress got eaten by the dragon. That's my guess. I think that's what happened.
No, little.
Well,
Something happened. We know that.
We have a total of 5 viewers now.
There
So
you
we're
go.
starting to get there.
I have
Tell your
8.
friends,
I have 8.
throw it on the forums or your league. What is it? The University of Cincinnati Lowell Spring Tournament Facebook group.
That's right. That
So
is right.
there's the little knight in movement we're talking about. He's pretty sweet looking. Just
Well,
zoom in on him real quick.
There you go.
Oh no, I lost him. But yeah,
He's looking pretty baller.
he is pretty baller. So
Waddling around down there. It'd be funnier if like bits of his armor fell off as he like waddled along.
yeah, he's like crying and shedding his armor at the same time. Mumu's gonna go up there and just stand next to President Rise.
It looks like they're
Uncle
just
Sam Rise.
it looks like they're just protecting right now. Purple team is just kind of taking their positions on the entrance towards their blue. You have Swain kind of in the bush up top, and then you see the same thing from blue. You see bot lane just kind of congregating there. It does not look like they're going to take golems on the blue side. So, and it looks like Sejuani will be starting Wolves. So a pretty normal, average start for both teams.
Yeah, I'm pretty sad. Throughout most of this tournament, there hasn't been much invading or much. A lot of times you'll see Sej will start right where she's at, or the blue jungler will start there, and the mid will go and take wraiths, and bot lane will take golems, just to get that little bit of an edge in lane. So
Yeah, I mean, it's actually quite a large advantage. It's around 100 gold from what I know, and you can continually do that. So that is a huge advantage for bottom lane, but it does take time and a little bit of health early on. So some teams opt not to do it, but I think that they probably would if they were a little bit more advanced, and put it that way.
that's a very fair assessment, I believe. It looks like Amumu's going to get a smite list down here. That is a lot of people helping him take his blue. So yeah, he's going to be able to go take his red faster. But it has been warded by blue team, so they might be looking for Sej to go up there and take it. Yeah,
Sejuani gonna level 2 gank either mid or go take the red of Amumu. And Amumu is pretty low health. He is getting it back from that red pot though, so we'll see exactly if that's a smart idea or not. I would focus in on the red buff here. It does look like there will be some contention in red buff.
I think there's the problem.
Sejuani actually going to try taking it before Amumu gets there.
Now, if Sej kills those 2 minions and drags it back into the bush, Amumu might actually not even... No, he's not even going to go to his red.
He's going to go to his red. Big mistake.
See, a lot of times you'll see that with a smite buff. They'll try and let it come back up, so they'll clear their wolves, clear their blue, go do wraiths and come back to blue. But, I mean, he's just going to be really surprised. By the time he gets there, Sejuani's going to have her own red and be pretty far ahead.
And we see a little bit of jostling bottom lane, really just poking back and forth. It does look like Misfortune is tied with Vars at this point. Nobody really has the advantage bot lane. They both started Doran's Blade, which is very common now, and their support started relatively traditionally as well.
Yeah, nothing too fancy. Nothing too fancy. Both are pretty close in the CS. Now I have the lane matchups properly, I believe.
That you do?
So yeah. Mumu just found out that his blue's gone, and he is like, I mean, he's already sad enough. Jeez. You think he's a little sad knight right now? Just
yeah, exactly.
And his red buff.
He is farming faster. He does have 18 CS to her 14, but missing out on that red buff is huge. But you know, she's really makes the difference in that team right now. Yeah,
the one like large minion at each camp is really the only one that counts. I mean, the other ones are nice to have, but so that does hurt him. He did pick up the extra wolves that Sejuani didn't. That's why he's a little bit ahead. But she's definitely got a gold lead on him, as we can see.
It does, and it seems like the poke for bottom lane with that Sona is actually better than the one with Lulu at this point in time. Both have the opposing brushes warded, and both have river warded. Purple team also has tri-bush warded, so a little bit more map vision from Purple, but they did get poked down really, really hard. And they'll either be a kill or Misfortune will be forced to back here pretty soon.
Yeah, Sejuani's pinging that she's going to come in bottom, but she doesn't need to. There's a flash out of, I believe that was Misfortune that flashed. I was a little late. Yeah, she did flash and barrier.
I believe it was
no,
Misfortune.
it's a barrier. I'm sorry.
Just barrier, yes. And they did get her down, so that was the point. Is either it was a kill or they're going to force her back, and it almost was a kill, and she had to burn a summoner spell. She should have went back just a little bit sooner, or not gotten poked.
That's the risk that you take as Misfortune laning against a Varus. I think the Boots and Pots may have. Here comes Sejuani looking to steal blue or anything, and it is not back yet. So I'm not sure. I don't think it's back for like 2 more minutes. So just looking to catch a Mumu in his jungle. But I was gonna say that's the risk you take as MF against Varus, against a champ with poke like Varus. It's always a good idea to go Boots and Pots because you get the mobility to get out of the way of the skill shots.
It's true. She actually just didn't even pick up Boots on her way back. She just picked up another Doran's Blade, and Varus completed his Boots. So I think this will actually hurt quite a bit. Misfortune's just going to continually get zoned out, and even when they try to trade, I think Varus will end up trading that much faster. We will have to see if that turns out to be a good decision for her or not.
It's not awful. She did get a health pot to help her sustain. More than one health pot, I can't tell because it doesn't actually show you on the items. Amumu misses his grab and then takes a turret shot, so that gank mid is not going to be happening unless Cez was looking to counter gank, but she didn't. So
it will force her to lane. I believe that is only one pot from Misfortune.
Yeah, it's one pot.
And the support is late getting back. This is one thing that a lot of newer players sometimes have trouble with, is that it looks like, wow, Amumu's going to get first blood, and they're going to trade off. He may actually be able to kill Lux here.
There's the flash, and
there you go. A nice play by Amumu.
Yep, just barely out of there. That was Lux's fault though. She didn't decide what she wanted to do. She was very hesitant, and the entire time that she was making up her mind, she was standing in the tiers. So it's not one thing that you want to do is feed Amumu, especially when you shut him down at his red early. I think Sejuani needs to be very aware of when his buffs come up and make sure that she's counter jungling him.
In addition to that, you see that there's all the wards on bot lane have worn out, except the one in that lower brush there. So both sides, especially purple, are really vulnerable to a gank right now. It's just will Sejuani get down there quick enough to make that apparent?
Yeah, we haven't really seen her use her mobility. She showed up mid to deter Amumu, and then she left. She went back, and they ended up getting the double. Or no, I'm sorry, he killed her because of a bad gank. She needs to use that mobility that we talked about before the game and really get herself bot lane and help her AD carry to get ahead. He's doing a great job poking. He's ahead by quite a bit CS right now, 17, and so he's sitting in a good position. Even with the double Dorns, she's not really able to outfarm him. That's one thing about Varus is a lot of times you don't want to get the early boots because of the attack speed. But Varus's Blight is really where his primary damage comes from, so you want to get the Blight stacked 3 times and then burn it. So
yeah, I mean, and you see that his base attack damage is only like 15 or so below hers at this point in time, and so or her attack damage as it is now, and it's really, he can trade with her that much more effectively, and it looks like there'll probably be a death from both players on top lane, which is generally what happens top lane.
Yeah, Vlad made a bad decision to dive Swain. He pulled, used his ult. He probably could have just got out and lived after his ult, but chose to stay. Amumu misses the bush.
It looked like he hit it directly on me there, but Rise also teleports down. It looks like Amumu went right through Sejuani. Yeah. Maybe that was just the way the bush looked.
Rise teleport is extremely strong, but I don't like his decision to TP down here. I would have liked it better if blue team was a little more overextended from their turret. Then he could TP in and get his stun off. That's what makes him so good. It's almost like Twisted Fate TPing with a yellow card. But I think he just wasted his stun, and if blue team plays this right, they should not lose this turret. And it doesn't look like they're going to. It looks like if purple doesn't relinquish some pressure, then yeah.
What's unfortunate about this is that after that double kill mid, it looks like Lux is just going to be able to free farm here. Actually, she's going to be met by the Swain, who might take her down here. He does have his ult popped. He does have enough mana to execute it. So we'll see if she's able to get out, and it doesn't look like she will.
She landed the stun. She saw him coming. She hit a few abilities, but she decided to stay in there, and that's one problem with Lux. Swain in his ult can do a lot of damage with just his auto attacks, and Lux is just really bursty. So once all of her abilities were down, she really needed to back off. But that also gives Vlad some time to put pressure top lane. And a lot of times in lane phase, it's about putting pressure on. Because there were 4 people bottom and they didn't do anything, Lux had an opportunity to take this turret down pretty low. And then when Swain came down, that gave Vlad the opportunity to take his turret to half health. So these turrets are all getting pretty low here on purple side, with the exception of the bot turret.
I mean, there was actually a blue ward in that top tri-bush, so she should have known that he was coming down. She should have been able to deal with him. But that's one thing we've seen from Lux over and over again, is a little bit of indecision. I think that she would be much better off if she just actually, decided the course that she was going to take and stick with it.
Yeah, totally. There's a Sona ult. I'm not sure the decision making there. I think she thought she could catch a quick kill. Varus, Sona, both comboing their ults together. Well, not at the same time, but one after the other is a really, really good combination. Sona lands hers, and then while they're stunned in place, Varus can get his root off. So it's a very good decision, like composition bot lane. Lulu struggles against the extreme poke range of Varus. So he was basically just counterpicked her pretty easily. But we've seen a lot of Lulu in this tournament, which kind of surprises me. I'm not saying that she's a bad champion, but she's one that's harder to play as support and harder to make herself stay relevant.
And we see Sona here going back, picking up the health crystal and boots off the bat, in addition to the Philo stone, and that's mirrored by a Philo stone on the other side. She hasn't had a chance to back yet. The most of the time, you're going to want to try to get that sight stone as soon as you can after your first GP5, or even quicker sometimes if you have the money, because it saves so much money on those wards. But right now we see Sona being just a little bit further ahead, but both supports playing pretty well.
Yeah, by just getting that the sight stone first instead of getting the boots and the Philo, if she would have got I think she could have got the sight stone and maybe the Philo, or the sight stone and the boots, but she would basically, staying in lane for 6 minutes equates to about 300 gold in wards. If she's using both wards, which she is, she has one in the Tri and one at Dragon. Purple team I'm sorry, that's purple team. But if Sona mirrors the purple team wards, which is probably like the best warding that she could do at this point in the game, it'll cost her about 300 gold for 6 minutes of laning, and that is just not the Philo does not makes 100 gold in that same time.
I think a lot of people start with the Philo simply because their starting items will help them build the Philo just a little bit faster, especially when they couldn't build the Sightstone in the first place. So I definitely think it's a good first or second item. If you could, I mean, it's obviously the one you want to rush, but we also see the ward coverage from Purple Team really, really good on the bottom side, but then pretty sparingly on top side. They have 2 wards, three wards in the enemy's jungle, 1 by Dragon, and then 1 in bottom bush. So it cost them probably a little bit more than 600 gold to keep that up.
Yeah, but this is the kind of map control that can win you games, because now they know where Sejuani's at, they know when the red comes up, and they can go in there and do whatever they want. It belongs to them. Amumu's got 2 kills. Swain has 2 kills and a teleport, so he can teleport into the jungle anywhere. The only thing I'd like to see is, instead of this ward being in this red, maybe on the edge in this bush here, just to get a little more coverage with it. I feel like it's kind of not doing anything, and as I say that, the wards start to run up.
It's really the only way that supports get to live on the edge is be placing those wards deep in the enemy jungle. And it seems like Purple has done that. And good ward placement. You don't get as much vision. There are certain places on the map that give you optimal vision with just 1 ward. And it looks like we have a gank going down bottom, and then he misses it again, but uses the Curse of the Sad Mummy, chained with an ult for Misfortune, and that will bring Varus down.
It was a good flash by Varus to dodge the bandage, but he should have known the ult was up, and he didn't flash out of the ultimate range, so it was a good attempt. He was overextended though, and that's just not having wards. And there's no reason for it, because Sona should always come back to lane with wards. She had a lot of gold. She bought 3 items, and that's a Dragon for Purple.
Yeah, and she bought 1 ward. I think that she wanted to save that ward for later, but if you save the ward and you die, then it's not worth it. It looks like Purple might get a Dragon out of this. Sona is the only one there to really stop it. Sejuani is busy dying top lane.
Yeah, I don't like
mid lane.
Decision to waste her ult there. I think she should have tried to snipe the Dragon. I think that would have been more effective, and then she let Sejuani die anyways. So I think Lux should have came down here and tried to snipe this Dragon out. But
This will be very interesting. And Vladimir does win the exchange. It was very close. He does only have 100 and some health left. So it was a good trade for both of them. He's going to be able to clean up this wave, which is actually huge in this position. Vladimir's 92 farm to Swain's 66. So Vladimir definitely getting the better of this. And he leaves lane with less than 20 health left, I think.
Yeah, both of these top lane champions are champs that scale extremely well late game, and Vlad's only going to get better and better. And hopefully he'll be able to carry his team out of the mess that they kind of got themselves into. They're not doing a horrible job. Varus is doing a great job of CSing. He is down 1 kill, but has in my opinion the better item set than MF at the moment. So
he definitely has
the
but there is the finished Bloodthirster will give her actually a lot more attack damage when she gets back into lane once it gets farmed up a little bit. Rise decides to go back in for that one more CS, and he gets poked so hard that he might even die here to Lux.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. Yeah, why he actually turned to last hit that minion. So
I was also going to say I'm not sure. Lux was basically hugging him the whole fight. I'm not sure why she was keeping herself so close. I mean, Rise is ranged, so he is going to hit her anyways. But if he plays back a little bit, maybe he convinces Rise to waste his CC onto Sejuani. So it was a good play by Sej to come back in and catch him. Lux had a great stun and ult. And so yeah, it was a good play all around. I'm not entirely sold on Sejuani spending so much time mid. There's the ult, but she flashes out of it.
It looked like she was in the ult range. I don't know. She doesn't have cleanse or anything. It actually, to me, once again, it looked like the spell hit her. But she did flash out of it, and it would have been a kill if she did not. But Sejuani looks like she's going to tower dive bottom, use that CC we talked about, and Varus is going to pick up maybe 2 kills here.
Yeah,
actually, he's going to die himself.
Yeah, so that was kind of a weird decision. I think he should have taken the kill and backed off. He killed the AD carry. They got a little greedy there, and it gives Amumu a double kill and Swain 2 assists.
And that was a really good reaction by Purple Team. A lot of the time you see newer teams or younger teams, they don't come together as quickly to defend pushes like that. But here they did. They immediately reacted, and they had 3 to 4 people bottom lane defending that push.
Yeah, Captain Awesome made a good decision to teleport down, and that's the kind of teleport I'm talking about. It's back here in the bush, way back here. The whole team's up under the turret, or the whole bot lane is under the turret. So he teleports in behind, and it basically guarantees that he can do some damage, and makes a big difference. There's a Lux ult. It takes everybody pretty low. She's starting to do a lot of damage now, but there's no ward or vision in that push. So Noobs will go down.
But he picks up the kill on Swain with his ultimate because of all that damage that Lux did, like you said earlier.
Yeah, it's always good when you kill the guy you're laning against. It'll allow. I mean, he's already dominating his lane really hard, and it keeps Swain from being able to catch up. So if he goes back top, it's not like Swain is going to gain any ground on him. So that's one good thing. I think that he needs to start involving himself in the team fights a little more. Especially at this level of play when your team's struggling like it is.
But we see actually 2 teleports from Purple Team here, which I believe is was it the Knights, the Royal Knights?
Oh, I never set up the silly me.
No worries, but regardless, either way, you see 2 teleports from them, gives them a lot of mobility on this map. Laning phase should be a lot easier for them, but they are trading off with those other summoner spells. So you see actually no escapes whatsoever from Swain. He took Teleport Ignite, which does give him a little bit extra killing power, but we've not seen that really materialize as well as it has with the Rise. Yeah. I mean, with the Vladimir, sorry.
And this time when Amumu comes down to gank bot lane, he is shut down. Sejuani will kill that ward because there's a pink there, but his gank is shut down because it's just good ward coverage. They could just walk away from him and can't do anything. As opposed to last time when Varus died for essentially no reason. He's already ahead in lane, so let him keep getting more ahead. And it looks like they're going to take this bottom turret. I don't know that these 2 are going to be able to stop it, or these 3 will be able to stop it. It's so low. And if they stay and fight, they're going to die here. Amumu makes a bad decision to go in an ult. And MF's ult only hits Sejuani.
We do have a game pause.
And we're going to find out who disconnected.
Rise DC?
Rise said DC. I don't know if he himself DC'd. So let's see who.
He is the only one sitting in base. But it is a little bit fishy when you call your own disconnect.
Yeah, his teleport isn't up though, so it wouldn't have mattered. He couldn't get there anyways. If he would have disconnected and his TP was up, this fight could be totally different, but it's not. So we will have to see.
A summoner has disconnected.
Yep, there he goes. Officially, he has disconnected.
So while we wait here, how do you think it's going bot lane? Do you think both of these players will fall? That's probably the biggest issue.
Yeah, I think that it was a bad decision for Amumu to stay in ult. I've noticed a lot of people like to run away while their turret's dying, and then once their turret falls, they like to turn and fight. And I don't understand that decision, because the turret is like having an extra attacking damage dealer. But they turned and fought, and because MF also turned, I think all three of them are there, aren't they? I can't. Yeah, there's three people are.
Yeah, there's three people.
So yeah, I think that this is gonna end badly. News will own you's down there. He's getting pretty fed. He's got his haunting guys and a blast.
His Hemo Plague is actually a few seconds from being up as well. I think probably 10, 15 at this point. I can't really click on it and find out, but I'm actually not quite sure. But if they stay and fight, it could be bad if they chase, because Sejuani's getting extremely low. And really the only damage you have there is Vladimir besides that. And Sona just blew her ult, so they may actually get themselves into a situation if they stay and fight. But, you know, in addition to that, I agree with you. A lot of people wait until the turret goes down, and then they turn and fight. And that's definitely what we saw Mumu do here. I think he was trying to save it at the last second. But a turret with one hit on it is worth less than, actually is probably worth less than a turret, a dead turret, because it might bait you to stay and fight, which is what it did here.
Yeah, it's going to go down anyways. There's no point in dying alongside of it. Most of the time, the first tier turrets are always going down unless you're getting totally dominated in a game. It looks like Rise did reconnect, but we're waiting for him. Sometimes it'll tell you reconnecting while you're still loading. So we're waiting on that still. But if I'm looking over here on the left side, and I see that blue team made one mistake when they engaged that. All three of them, and by all three of them I mean, Varus is down there. It's hard to tell. Yeah, he's down there. Agent Smith is there. Varus ulted, Sona ulted, and Sejuani all ulted basically together. All their ults are down. If they would have chained their ults, there's no chance in hell that these three survive. But because they hit them all at the same time, they're in trouble.
You actually see the Sejuani ult, and you actually see the remnants of Crescendo still going down on the screen. So you do see them stack. They need to be. There we got 5 seconds, and the game will resume, and we'll wait to see whether or not these players die.
I think. And they're not even running away. They're
not even going to run,
and that is a mistake. I think they could have made it away from that. I mean, I know Sejuani has a slow, but that gives a double kill to Vlad. Now he's very dangerous when he goes back and buys. He's sitting on 1,500 gold right now. So
meanwhile, Swain does pick up a kill on Lux top, which is actually really bad for Lux. Lux is much further ahead in farm and had 2 kills herself. So to go down to Swain, there must have been a big misplay by her. But still, they had a huge swing in favor of the two men here.
You know, I'm just surprised. And then this Rise comes in. It looks like he might die too. He gets Hema Plague, and Varus catches him, and now the Hema Plague is going to kill him. And Noobs gets 3 kills out of that. So that
gets 3, and they got 2 turrets. So that you see how one Amumu trying to save a turret at the last second really cost them 4 deaths, almost an
and a blue.
Yeah, and a blue buff.
I think that Varus made a beautiful play with his Q to catch Rise and give them the kill. So I'm not sure what Royal Knights' decision making was, because up until that point they were dominating this game, and now the game is neck and neck again. They're actually down almost a little over 3K in gold. But that fight, I was really confused by it, because they had a lot of time to sit there in Skype and talk about what they were gonna do, and I'm not sure who said, "Hey guys, there's 3 of us and 4 of them. Let's turn and fight them." Because I'm not sure about that decision, even though they were a little more ahead and Blue was a little starting to get a little low. But Varus did a great job of keeping himself out of direct contact with the fight. He stayed back and kept doing damage. When he got targeted, he backed off until they switched targets, and then he came back in. So really good position by Varus.
Lux uses her ult to get that last hit on blue.
Always a good use of the ults.
And will the two men here make the same mistake that that purple team made just minutes before? And the answer is yes, but to a smaller degree.
Yeah, I think Vlad is just too tanky right now with the giant spell that he's got. So, and the abyssal scepter, he's pretty hard to deal with. He is quite ahead in terms of level. He's level 14. Only Swain is level 14 for the Royal Knights. So noobs will own you. Playing a brilliant game as Vlad. We might even see him banned out next game. And he just says, "Hey, go ahead and poke me, Uncle Rise, because I give no shits."
It would be the first time somebody's uncle poked them, but let's not talk about that. Not appropriate for this this venue. Regardless, there is a dragon up, and blue team does have it pink warded, so they know there's no vision on it, momentarily for the Royal Knights. So I think that could be one of the keys that gets them. Well, actually, they're ahead because of that exchange in the mid, but it might help them to take that and just secure that lead even more.
It never hurts to have a dragon.
No, that is true, I think, but right now their lead is getting a little out of hand. As you said, that Vladimir is just too fed, and it does look like they're going to be, just continually steamrolling this lead.
Yeah, one thing, if you want to take a peek around the map, you notice that purple team has lost their map control. They don't have aggressive wards. They have a couple defensive wards, but again, not nearly as many as we saw earlier. We saw like 6 wards early game out of that.
Yeah, we saw like 5 or 6 wards just on the bottom half of the map, and then they still had the one for the bush on the top side of the map. Now you only see 2 defensive wards and then 1 in the river. And I think that it's just a key. When you're confident, you're placing wards, you're buying wards, you feel like you have the extra gold, but the important thing to remember is that you should always be buying wards. Actually, if you look at blue team now, the wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tubemen, they actually have a river completely warded. They almost have 100% vision of that river and the 2 entrances of the Royal Knights jungle.
Yeah, they have really good coverage. They put down a ward where their mid turret was, so they could see anybody moving across this lane here. Slightly larger than a deer trail, but not quite as large as the actual lane. So we'll call it pathway. I'll call it the pathway.
Pathway. I accept pathway.
I know that I heard a lot of people complaining about the sight stone, how you can hold more wards if you don't have a sight stone. But the sight stone just gives you so much more control of the map early game. Plus late game, I mean, a lot of the times the support won't even get full build. You'll build like your boots, a Philo, the sight stone, and Aegis, and the game is over. So pretty much after you get the Aegis or your defensive item, you just buy a lot of wards. So you can have 3 from the red, the ruby sight stone, and then 5 in your inventory. So you can really get a lot of ward coverage down. Supports are supports for a reason. They don't really need a whole lot of items.
I think the bigger issue is that it also gives you health as well. So you're really not just buying wards, you're buying a stat that will help you. You are getting a little bit beefier, a little bit tankier. In addition to that, a lot of people use their sightstone for their greens, and then they buy pinks on top of that. So if you have a sightstone and 2 pinks, you have 4 wards and have a really good clearing capability. So I don't think that complaint is really valid. People just don't like buying sightstone because they want to go AP. So let's be real.
AP support, there's nothing finer in the world when your scrub teammates don't carry hard.
But that is more solo queue than team. I guess hopefully if you're in a team, you've worked it out to that somebody is going to buy Sightstone. But we see here the team that is slightly ahead here. The 2 men, they are pushing down Royal Knights' middle lane, and Royal Knights is split because MF is bottom lane. So we're going to see if she regroups in time for this fight. It will not be quick enough.
And the
Rise will die.
Yep, he is going to go down there. Yep. And another nice ult by Sejuani, but nobody goes in and follows it up. And Varus just ulted and hit nothing. Airball on his what is it? Corruption. I can't even
Chain of
remember.
Corruption.
Chain of Corruption,
Yeah, his Chain of Corruption didn't hit anybody, but the damage has already been done at this point. They have, a greater push going on. Varus is still alive. They have, basically they traded, 2 for nothing. So it looks like they will do this, and they can continue to push, but I really think they should just loot blue buff again and leave and heal and use their advantage.
I totally agree. They might even be able to Baron here if they were to group up and go there, because so many people are dead and backing for the Knights, the Royal Knights.
It looks like Sona is going to say, I want this blue buff. Lux does not need it. Even though Lux used her ults to try to pick it off there. But there is their own blue buff and their own red buff still available. And it looks like Ryze is going to try to do a little bit too much here and try to kill Noobs. And he might actually get the kill on Noobs.
Not looking... Oh, maybe it's so close. And here comes Sejuani for the save. That turret being down really helps.
It looks like Noobs will get picked off by... No, it doesn't look like anybody's landing their skill shots. If he uses his Curse of the Sad Mummy, that would be disappointing. But here we go. They do look like they're going to take top lane. That is the lane they decided to push. And it looks like two men here will respond to this.
It was a good use of the TP by Swain to save Ryze. Ryze was just a little greedy there, and he's lucky that Swain had the teleport up to make that trade somewhat even. Because when you're this far behind, trading at all is, if you can trade 1 for 1, that's to your advantage. Sona has bought an item that I am not really familiar with in this tournament. She has a pink eyeball above her head.
I don't know what that means.
I want to talk a little bit about this item. That I think this might be like the second time I've seen it in this
I have no idea what that item is because we don't see it.
But
I didn't know it existed.
I know. That eyeball is just flashing, and I just want to watch.
If anybody in chat knows what that eyeball means or does, let me know, because I've not had any experience with it during the University of Cincinnati tournament thus far.
I'm just going to watch her clear wards, because that's how much I love this. I'm assuming that's what it does. I don't know, though. I think it's letting her ward clear, because she was killing wards. The all-seeing pink whispering eye.
I like how bro actually says Oracle.
Thank you.
Like we didn't actually know what it was, and we knew what it was. And thank you, Music Blade. It was in fact the fabled Oracle's elixir. We thought it was something of only myth and legend, but we find that it actually
to your mom's G-spot.
Yeah, that's true. Similar to, well, I know it exists on your mom, regardless. And it looks like I don't know why Lux just keeps spamming that ult at every objective. But we see Crescendo going down. It looks like MF will get caught out, and I guess Royal Knights just making more and more mistakes here.
Yeah, this was a game that was in there. They were commanding, and they just made some simple mistakes and lost control of it really quickly. I don't think they're out of it, but if they keep this up, they surely will lose. But
I think they're potentially a mistake here if they do try to Baron. The one thing here is it's only 29 minutes into the game. Baron is still going to be doing a significant amount of damage to this team. If they do realize that's what they're doing, Amumu does have his Curse of the Sad Mummy up and can turn this whole game around with just one bad fight here.
Yeah, we just wait for them to get a little lower.
He does go in on it. He is going to use the Curse of the Sad Mummy. Right.
Oh, wow.
Almost never. And it doesn't look like it'll matter because they didn't execute correctly.
Yeah,
but
he made the mistake of just... I think he was waiting to get everybody, and he had a really good opportunity where he'd get 3 or 4 of them, and he just putzed around with it, and the Lux ult just did so much damage when it came through, coupled with many other things happening. But
I guess if you were in solo queue, I guarantee you somebody on your team would shout success because you stopped the Baron attempt. But regardless, you're just trading worse and worse and worse. They are still around 5k gold behind. It doesn't look like two men are getting any further ahead. But stopping that Baron, I guess, was a good trade because they would have had it either way.
I just don't know. I just don't know that I would call that a good trade.
Well, I mean, it definitely wasn't a good trade, but if you factor in the thought that they stopped the Baron, I don't know. They may feel good about themselves.
I think it might have stood a better chance if Amumu just bandaged in and tried to steal the Baron.
Yeah, he did go in really quickly, but I don't think they actually had sight because remember that Sona had Oracle's Elixir, so they did not have sight on the inside, and they were relying with that little bit peek around the side. So I mean, it was a pretty good attempt if you don't have sight, and she's actually still clearing wards like a champ.
I know that the eye is above her head again. It's craziness. I don't even know what's happening.
I think it's an optical illusion. Or it might be indicating that Evelyn is nearby, but I don't see how that's possible. We see Rise getting poked a little bit. One thing I noticed from Royal Knights is that they're taking a lot of free damage. I don't know what's prompting them to be as sloppy as they are being, but Rise takes quite a bit of damage, almost over a quarter of his health, just because he wants 1 or 2 minions. We also saw the fight that he died in earlier, trying to snag one minion, and then we saw bottom lane them turn and fight after a very long delay. So I don't know. I think that there's just a little bit of a lack of discipline coming out from Royal Knights. Everyone is trying to make too much happen. But this game is not far enough out of reach of the Royal Knights that they cannot turn it around.
You know, I agree 100%. I mean, his farm is already so far behind that one minion, it's negligible. I say that all the time. There's a Sejuani catching out the Swain, and you know, I normally would complain about the ult from Sona here, but I think Swain's just so tanky, and he's really the saving grace of Royal Knights right now. So I think that he's worth the ult. I have to agree with that decision, when normally I would not, because now they can siege this turret, and I'm pretty sure Royal Knights won't be able to stop it.
Amumu does have the Curse of the Sad Mummy up again. It looks like just to clear the creep for a brief moment, MF is going to use her ult, which I disagree with. They really need to think hard about when they use these ults and when they go in, but with the pure AoE comp that is given out by this wacky waving, inflatable arm flailing 2-men, and we see a dive going down now, and Amumu does use his ult, but as you see, they're just getting melted. Sejuani's too tanky. The tower doesn't really mean that much. And the trades are just getting worse and worse.
Yeah, Sej was in here doing a lot of damage. She took the turret aggro, so she ran away. I think one thing I would have liked to see her do, instead of just running immediately out of the turret range, is to just hang around at the back of the team, tanking the turret consistently, so that the team could finish killing everybody. But because she ran out, you know, it caused them to have to re-engage and at least 2 there.
MF got a nice triple kill. During that fight, she did use her ult earlier, and I thought I had a bad time just to clear a few creeps. But she did get 3 kills there, which is a really bad trade for a team that is way behind. So I think that this game is far from over. There's not an inhibitor turret down, and it looks like wacky waving, inflatable arm filling 2-men did stay too long.
Yeah, I was gonna point out. You said that she used her ult to clear the creep here. You know, that is okay, but like you said, I disagree with it in this sense because she has a Amumu. If Amumu's not on this team, I think that's a good decision to use that ult to clear the creep to keep the turret up. But because there's an Amumu, he is alive and he does have his ult up. I think that she should save it in that position because she could not only clear the creep but also hit like every champion on the planet of Summoner's Rift, and you know do quite a bit of damage. The triple kill is humongous on her. She finishes up her Infinity Edge, and that's going to be a lot of critting.
She doesn't have a whole lot of attack speed. It does look like she's going for a Zeal, but I was going to say that a lot of people do just stack Bloodthirsters after they get that Infinity Edge just to make her ult that much more powerful. Because her ult is at a fixed speed, each bullet does deal damage. Having, 3 Bloodthirsters, it makes each bullet do an extreme amount of damage, but it does look like she's going to go for an attack speed item here.
Yeah, plus her double up does it does devastating amount of damage. Also on the second champion it hits, it does like 120% or
a lot of damage. Yes.
Yeah, I can look at it right now and tell you. Yeah, 120% on the second target. And so that's a lot of damage with an Infinity Edge when you're critting for 250%.
We see scumbag Varus there, like, hey, you bought that pink ward and took 2 hits out of the ward, but I'm going to snag this last one because it's just like CS. Regardless, it looks like wacky waving, inflatable arm flailing 2-men is a little bit split here. They do have different objectives in mind, where we see a nice group coming from Royal Knights. and you will see a shutdown on Varus there, and Swain might also get caught out. He does have his flash up. We'll see if anybody flashes to get him. Nobody does. But this might be a Baron opportunity for Royal Knights.
You know, one thing I would have liked to see here is Lulu or MF try to poke over the wall at Baron to make it attack Vlad. I think that's a neat little trick that you can do. And then if they do that, he might not even be able to think about coming back into this fight here. But that is the one thing that Two Men needs to do to lose this game, and that is to not be grouped together and getting caught in the jungle. Again, this is something that comes down to ward coverage. If you have ward coverage, you can be split up. If you do not have ward coverage, you must remain together. And
it does look like they will try to Baron here, while there's a pink ward sitting right there. And this is where being a support comes into big here. She does have a pink ward, but she's not laying it down, and that is going to be really bad. Oh my goodness, all those ults chained together, they're just going to be demolished. Even with Baron, it didn't matter. The ults right there worked just how they were supposed to.
They killed Baron extremely quickly. They were a little low from the fighting beforehand and from Baron, and there's the ace. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised to see a surrender here. They're just so far behind now. 7,000 gold and counting, and a host of kills.
I mean, there is still Mod Inhibitor turret down. They are about 7k gold behind. They probably feel even more behind than what they actually are. But the fact that all of those ults together coalesced to annihilating them almost instantaneously was pretty fascinating to watch.
Yeah, it was just a bunch of, and there was a lot of health in those health bars, like just tons of those little hash marks all vanishing simultaneously. Like thousands of tiny little voices crying out and being lost.
Very descriptive. Give it a round of applause for Charles Dickens over here. Regardless, I don't think that there's any way that Royal Knights can come back into this game. Hopefully, at this point, at this stage, they are game planning for their next game.
Yeah, they're very happy right now that Baron's not transferable though. Even though this game is pretty much over, they're going to come down and counter the Baron with Dragon, just to say, yeah.
Music Blade in the chat says, I don't know why, but I hate the word instantaneously. Well, let me ask you a question. Did you take an instantaneous dislike to it? Or was it something that grew over time? That's it. Okay, I'm done. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Oh no, I was just fascinated by the jargon going on. I was gonna comment on it, but I'm not really qualified to be a thesaurus because I am under 5,000 pages.
You were under 5,000 pages.
But how about this, Music Blade? This is definitely not a war of attrition. Is that acceptable for you?
There you go.
This is like the 7-day war, but in 40 minutes.
True. Well, I mean, as I said, I still don't think it's over. I still think one stupid team fight from Two Men here will swing it the other way. It's just I don't believe that's actually going to happen.
Yeah, no, I mean, you saw it. Actually, it kind of almost happened here when they lost Vlad in the jungle there. Vlad has 12 kills, so he is just like devastating for the Tube Men. But I think that there was just a bad call to take Baron when they should have just pressured and got a couple turrets, maybe got Dragon, maybe even picked up some kills and then kept. Because I mean, if they keep picking up some kills and they keep Two Men at a man disadvantage, then it puts them in a position to win. But taking Baron was just the wrong call, and we've seen not only people throw in this league, but the Americans like to give games away at Baron also.
That's true, and I do believe they are all Americans, so I do think that either team is capable of throwing here.
Yes.
More than capable of throwing.
Well, it would be something amazing to see the Royal Knights throw from this position.
That is true. It is true. But if you think, if you look at Two Men's ward coverage here, they are showing to be not rushing into this. They did ward throughout their whole jungle. They know where everybody's at. It does look like they learned well, maybe they didn't learn their lesson because they are split here, and it does look like their main damage dealer is going to go down.
Yeah, it's a rough position to be in. I mean, they had the ward coverage to allow them to split, but he just didn't run away fast enough. Sometimes you just have to be the bitch. and get out of town. Get out of God. But Vlad comes in, everyone's sticking around for the Lux ult, which only hits one person. The Sona ult only catches 2 off, but it's enough to take down Ryze. No, he gets a shield. No, he does go down. Lux picks up Ryze and a Moo. And Swain just with so much life steal finally goes down. Lux does not get away from MF. She turns for the auto attack, and that's just greedy there because
wow,
yeah, that
Miss Fortune really carrying there. She basically evened that trade up by herself.
Now this is one of the things I disagree with. Sejuani just needs to shove that lane really hard because realistically, what is Lulu gonna do against Sejuani? Shove the lane and then back off while Lulu's healing. I don't know. Now Sejuani's gonna try and then shove the lane and. Looks like she might die to Lulu here, which is pretty embarrassing.
An old friend of mine
Lulu's got a farm mid.
An old friend of mine, Blue Pop-Tart, said there's still a chance Vlad could potentially have a heart attack, and that would maybe create a throw for 2 men. And I think he's about right. It's going to take about a heart attack for them to throw this game.
For a young college student who's not morbidly obese, that's something that's difficult to do, is have a heart attack.
It's true. He'd probably have to try to have a heart attack.
Yeah. God would have to will it, and I think they're going to have to try and win game 2 and not game 1. I think that's the new strategy, is to win game 2.
Yeah, the new strategy is to forfeit and win game 2. But as we see, I think that both teams played really well. I just think that the tipping point for Royal Knights was that engaged bottom lane and how quickly Blue Team has responded to it both times.
Yeah, I think a good idea here would be if Royal Knights shifted the momentum just a little bit, not enough to win because I don't think that they can. But say they pick up 1 or 2 kills and then surrender while they have a little bit of momentum, it might carry over into game 2. Or maybe I'm just being optimistic for them, but yeah, I think that momentum's definitely a factor in this game, and surrendering can sometimes shut down the momentum.
If you look at the builds though from Vladimir and from Lux and several different plays, they do have enough damage to really carry this into the late game. Sometimes you'll see with a team that's a lot of AoE comps and that has really tanky people like Vlad, like Sejuani, they end up not being able to deal as much damage as a Ryze. A Ryze lane, or well, Ryze Misfortune, sorry, and then they basically end up throwing just team comp at some point gets past them because they can't do enough damage. But does not look like that's going to happen in this game.
Yeah, there's a beautiful combo of ults, but the Sona ult just goes down too early again. And I'm not sure about that. A Moo just desperation ult, nothing happens. He gets the tank who's standing in range to hit him and doesn't want to leave anyways. So,
yeah, it looks like this will be GG here if they do just push straight through. They have the minions, they have the turrets, and last but not least, they'll take the Nexus.
And MF is gonna get away just barely, but that's the game. And, so yeah, we saw a pretty close game early on. Turn into a landslide, but that does happen. Both teams are clearly capable of winning, and I don't know. What were your thoughts?
My thoughts are, if you look at the damage dealt to Champions tab, you see that both Varus, Vladimir, and Lux all did massive amounts of damage to Champions, especially Lux. Lux leading the way. And you see that Vlad actually had less of an impact there. But if you select the damage taken tab, he took more damage than Sejuani. So not only is he dealing a lot of damage, he is taking equally amount of that amount of damage. So he really was a huge reason they won that game. While Lux was doing what she was supposed to, she was getting 3 or 4 people in her ult every single time. And even though Crescendo and the Sejuani ult were layered on top of each other instead of one right after the other, I think they had more than enough CC to beat it. Out I'd say the less thought out team comp. I think they just picked Moon because he was available and picked MF, and that was about the extent of the thought behind that.
All right, should be getting into game 2 here pretty soon, but I'm not sure what the holdup is.
We do see Noobs Wolonia, who was the Vladimir in the last game. He played an extremely great game as Vlad. As I said, taking and receiving a lot of damage for his team. He
likes to
basically
share.
said that AoE comp, 12% damage on amplified damage on everything. They just picked it that way without even thinking. Well, I mean, at some point there had to be some type of thought there, because they really did chain together very, very well, and it did work out. Whereas opposed to the other team, I think that they had a little less contrivance, I guess, or thought behind their team comp.
Yeah, a lot of times you just see people pick comfortable champions. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. You know, at lower levels of play, often being with a champ you're comfortable with matters, but there comes a point when you need the tanks, you need a specific comp, and it was a good decision making. I know that News will only plays a lot of Vlad. I would not be surprised to see that ban first, and maybe even a Lux ban. Although I would disagree with the Lux ban, I think that we still might see it.
All right, I think I am able to receive the invite now, if they do decide to give me one. Let's see here.
They were trying to invite Liquid Slick.
There you go. I'm
That
here.
guy is too pro to be here.
I'm too
Seriously.
pro to